Your Excellencies, honorable guests, on behalf of Her Excellency, Secretary General Amal Al-Afifi and members of the Executive Committee, I'm pleased to welcome you from the Khalifa Award for Education virtual platform. My name is Jamila Sulaiman, member of the Executive Committee, and I am honored to moderate this important session tonight. It is about early childhood, global leadership in the United Arab Emirates, which aims to highlight the care of our leadership and UAE government for early childhood and to ensure that the enhanced environment is created for the care and growth of this group and discover its talents and creativity in accordance with the best practices standards. It also aims at highlighting the best local, regional, and international experiences in early childhood care. It's worth mentioning that this session comes concurrently with the recent launching of an important event of Khalifa International Award for Early Childhood Learning, which came at the directives of His Highness Sheikh Mansour bin Zayed Al Nahyan, Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Presidential Affairs and Chairman of the Board of Trustees of Khalifa Award for Education. And it consists of two categories: Best Research and Studies, Best Program, Curricula, Teaching and Methodologies, and Practice. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome our guest for tonight, Dr. Muna Al-Jinahi, Assistant Professor, Curriculum and Method of Instruct, United Arab Emirates University, and Dr. Fatma Ali Al-Marzouki, Child Center Manager, Social Services Department, Sharjah. Now, with our first guest in this interesting session with Dr. Muna Al-Jinahi, she will present a presentation addressing early childhood education and preparation for the future. The platform is yours, Dr. Muna.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jamila. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good evening, everybody. My name is Muna Al-Jinahi, and it honestly gives me a great pleasure to share this platform together with you all on such an important topic, and a topic and concepts that are very near and dear to my heart, which has to do with early childhood education. Just allow me to zoom in. Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Jamila, for the introduction. I'm very humbled by your kind words. Thank you so much. I think it's very fitting to start my presentation and my talk particularly with this very inspiring quote from Her Highness Sheikha Fatma bint Mubarak Al Nahyan, Mother of the Nation and the President of the Supreme Council of Motherhood and Childhood, who very inspiringly said, "He who cares for children cares for the future of one's homeland." And indeed, in our societies, children are considered assets. And that is why we spend a lot of time and effort and research facilities and services trying to invest in those children so that they have this very bright future in front of them, and they carry the future after, when we become senior citizens and they become adults, they would carry on the thriving and the progress of society. Another poem that I always show my students in my classes is that of Gabriela Mistral, and she is a Chilean poet. And in her poem, she combines between the question of today and tomorrow. Why are we talking about the future today, especially the future of children in our societies? And in her poem, she says, "Many things can wait, children cannot. Today, their bones are being formed, their blood is being made, their senses are being developed. To them, we cannot say tomorrow. Their name is today." And that really, it bridges what we are discussing today. And that is, why is it so very crucial to talk about preparing children for the future when the future is still ahead? We're still living in the present. And that's because those, as we said, those children are the assets. And early childhood as well is a very, very short period of time in the life of a human development or a human being. It only spans, according to research, and most research agrees, it only spans for 8 years. It's from 0 to 8 years old. So in comparison to other human lives and human development, it's a very, very short time. And we need to take care of children and provide for children while they are still considered children, because otherwise it would be too late. So we need to provide the building blocks. And of these building blocks that I will discuss are concepts and topics that have been consistently emphasized in scientific research. And these are also concepts and topics that today in modern early childhood establishments and in contemporary early childhood classrooms, we see these concepts implemented because they are so very crucial. The very first one is the idea of a whole child approach. Education has gone through leaps, and it has gone through a lot of evolution and a lot of changes, especially with early childhood education. Nobody now think of it solely as being a place where students primarily or exclusively only learn their letters and numbers and their colors, but rather early childhood education is a setting that taps into all of the areas of development: the cognitive, the academic, the social and emotional. There's also the physical part. In schools and nurseries and kindergartens in our region and around the world are very cognizant of this fact. The fact that a child has so many areas of development that needs to be fulfilled in order to grow into a healthy and sturdy adult. And according to research, at its core, this whole child approach, this tapping into all areas of development, is an approach that views the purpose of schooling as developing future citizens and providing the basis for each child to fulfill their potential. So by tapping into all those areas of development, we are actually preparing them to become successful global citizens in the world. In my capacity as an instructor, at university instructor, oftentimes we work very closely with stakeholders, schools and nurseries, other establishments that have to do with early childhood education. And it makes me very happy, like for example, when we are revising frameworks, when we are reviewing certain standards that these nurseries and schools abide by, it makes me very happy to see that they are very much aware of the importance of all aspects of development. Not only that, but they also afford equal priority to all those aspects. Like the cognitive part is not more important than the physical part, not more important, for example, than the social and emotional part. All parts are very equally important in a child's education. So that's one thing that we often see in our nurseries and school settings as well. Another topic as well that has taken very important prominence in research and implementation in the field itself is the idea of creativity and imagination. And Dr. Jamila has very helpfully as well mentioned that we want children to be creative. We want them to be imaginative. Creativity, again, is not only helpful for society, but it's also very crucial for the child herself or himself. It's through creativity that children are able to communicate their feelings, whether verbally or non-verbally. It's through creativity that they get to express their ideas. They express their cultural heritage, important cultural aspects of their communities, important rituals in their families, daily routines that they often practice within their families and close-knitted communities. It is also through creativity and particularly imagination that children also get to solve problems, because in order to solve problems, you need to think ahead. You need to think of hypothetical situations and hypothetical scenarios. So without having the ability to imagine, it becomes difficult to solve problems. So only when children are encouraged and promoted to imagine and to create, to be creative, is when we also give them the opportunities to solve problems and think critically of any challenge and any sort of difficulty that they come across. Another important also aspect, especially with imagination, is that it also promotes children to think abstractly rather than to be limited and bounded to the physical environment that they are in, the here and now, the tactile and the concrete. They start to think about situations and scenarios and settings that they can see with their with their mind's eye. They're not in front of them, they cannot touch them, but they can still think about them. And that is when children start to move along Piaget's level of development. And instead of just being, having to touch things and understand concepts with their senses, they can now think of concepts primarily abstractly through their thoughts and thinking. So all of that happens through imagination. And so if a child wants to play the role of a superhero and wants to wear a cap, wants to be Spider-Man, that's great. As long as they know, for example, that these pretend plays or these imaginative plays need to be within limitations and within boundaries. It's not violent, it's not aggressive. They're not hurting themselves or not hurting others by these kinds of imaginations, then it's good. Actually, research shows that children who often pretend that they are superheroes and have superpowers, they actually tend to do better later on. They become very helpful in their communities and societies. They develop empathy for others as well. They have self-confidence. So it's actually very helpful for children to be imaginative. The other great thing about creativity and imagination, especially in school settings, is that it no longer is revolved around the idea of producing a product. Oftentimes, when we think about creative product, we think, oh, okay, it's a painting that the student does. It's a kind of, let's say, for example, a musical note that somebody composes. We think of a final product. But today, emphasis is actually put on the process of creative thinking, the process of working on creative work. How do students get inspired to work on these particular, for example, activities? What questions do they need to ask? What answers do they have? What kind of tools do they use? All of these processes, again, they help students to become more creative in the way that they do things and the way in which they think, not only in the way they practice or produce things. It also, by having these conceptions of creativity, that it is no longer, it's not only limited exclusively to a product, but also to a process. We widen the scope of what is meant to be creative work or creativity. And another issue as well that is becoming very important in research, and it's a trendy word that we often see in journals and articles pertinent to early childhood education, is the concept of resilience. And if the pandemic situation, as human beings, we have learned a lot from the pandemic situation and the pandemic issue that we were facing and challenge that we were facing in 2020. There are so many lessons that we have learned, but if there's one lesson that we have taken away that we all could agree upon, then it's that sometimes challenges and stresses and adversities are bound to take place. You cannot avoid these challenges completely. You cannot avoid these stressors completely. So they are bound to take place. Adversity, at one point, students and children are going to face some kind of a difficulty. You watch children in the playground and they scratch their knee, they fall from their bikes, they sometimes they fight with other children, or they don't get to share other things with other children, and so on. And we can't place children in a bubble. That's also not very realistic, but rather we want them to deal very positively with any difficulty and any stressor situation that they are in. So how could we do that then? Well, number one, we create a very safe environment for children to express themselves and express their ideas. If a child is talking to us, we listen. We give them our undivided attention. No matter how far-fetched their scenario is, how far-fetched their thoughts are, we need to listen to them, we need to engage with them and communicate very positively and show them as well that we are listening attentively to what they have to share. We respect children as well. If we want children to say please and thank you, then it starts with us, adults. We need to tell them please and thank you, who model positivity and become positive role models for the children. We become very empathetic towards their situations, right? We acknowledge, for example, the feelings that they go through. We are very flexible when it comes to changing rules and changing some of the boundaries. We provide them a lot of spaces to express themselves and express their ideas, but also we provide rules and regulations. Children need to have some kind of boundaries and limitations because it gives them that source of consistency and that source of that sort of safeness, having or understanding what consequences will come after certain types of behavior, for example. So all of these can help us make a resilient child or help children to become resilient. And a child who is resilient, they are able to build relationships, they're able to make friends with others, they have affect regulation, so they can regulate their own behavior. They have very positive perception of self in a very healthily balanced manner. They have self-esteem and self-confidence. They have positive personal qualities, like, for example, having an easygoing temperament, being flexible. They have fortitude. They plan ahead. Um, they are very tenacious, and then they have cognitive skills as well. And they also have adapting coping strategies. We teach children and we provide them with tools, and we teach them that if you face any challenge or any risky situations or any difficulty, you can always ask for help and accept help from others around you, especially caregivers that are within the vicinity of the child. So these are some ways in which we can build resilience in children. And the most important thing with resilience is having caregivers and having adults around the child that the children are attached to emotionally, like the mother and the father, sometimes even teachers as well. Those people and those adults around the child can, they provide a sense of security, a safeness to the child. And so children tend to trust their judgment. And so when they provide them with these tools, they are more likely to accept these lessons and these tools from those caregivers. And talking about resilience also takes us to the issue of social and emotional intelligence. That's another thing that schools, nurseries, and early childhood education establishments are very keen to provide to children. So it is the process of acquiring and effectively applying the knowledge, attitudes, and skills necessary to recognize and manage their own emotions, but also understanding the emotions of other people and other children and other adults around them, developing caring and concern for others, becoming tolerant towards others, making responsible decisions, establishing relationships and handling changing situations, and all of those important issues. So how do we develop then the social emotional intelligence in children? And how do we include that in our curriculum and in our educational settings? We acknowledge children's feelings. If children are hurt, instead of saying, oh no, it doesn't hurt, it's okay, no, it does, right? We acknowledge how they feel. If they feel sad, then we acknowledge that they are feeling sad, they are feeling hurt, they are feeling they're feeling upset, and it's okay to express it by crying, by sometimes maybe needing a cuddle and so on. Not only acknowledge their emotions, but also show them our emotions as adults as well. It would be difficult for children to express emotions if they don't see it in the environment around them. So showing them emotions is also very important. And then, especially when it comes to the social part of social emotional intelligence, giving them a lot of opportunities to play with other children within their ages, taking them to the park, taking them to nurseries. If we have family members and other, for example, family friends who have children within the same age, then give them opportunities to play unpromptedly with those children, so that they learn things about, such as taking turns, waiting patiently, sharing toys, and all of these skills that are very important in order to establish and maintain social relationships with others around us. And this talk about play actually takes us to the other concept, and that is children's play. If you go to any nursery and any kindergarten today, you will see that play takes a very important role in the curriculum as well, and in the daily plan that teachers and educators plan for their students. All of those, actually all of the aforementioned concepts, the whole child approach, resilience, social emotional intelligence, creativity and imagination, all of those important concepts actually can be realized through play, because it's a very authentic, very organic situation in which children can actually implement all of those skills that they have learned and put it into use while playing. It's a way for children to express themselves. It's a way for them to practice creativity. It's a way for them to discover and explore the world around them, to feed their curiosity. And it's a way for children actually to understand the world around them. We might think that it's only for fun, but no, it's an opportunity for children to actually implement what it is that they have learned. And an important part of play is not only the indoor play, but also outdoor. Sometimes it can be, if you compare it to how it was in the past, outdoor play specifically has become a little bit scarce. So giving that very, very abundance of space for children to run around and roam and jump and discover the environment, play with sand and stones and leaves, all of these are very important for their development as well. So that comes to the other part of my presentation, and that is, what are we currently doing, especially at the College of Education in the United Arab Emirates, to realize and implement all of those important concepts pertinent to early childhood education? Well, to put it very simply, we are preparing our future students, who in turn are going to prepare their future students for the future. And to do that, very recently, the College of Education has collaborated with the Supreme Council of Motherhood and Childhood in establishing Sheikh Fatma bin Mubarak Research Center for Motherhood and Childhood. And in this center, we strive to provide the most updated findings and research and scientific rationale for different practices pertinent to early childhood education. It's also a center where we strive to put all those theoretical understandings about early childhood development and early childhood education to implement it into the field of education practically as well. In our curriculum, we have newly introduced a practicum which encourages undergraduate students to start going to the field very early on, to have that very important hands-on experience by dealing with children and teaching them and understanding the space and understanding the settings of the school in which children are in. So this is something that we have implemented newly. We also have the Early Childhood Education Laboratory that we are very proud of, because our students, our undergraduate students, every year they remodel and restructure this laboratory based on what they have studied in some of their courses. And they built an environment that is very inclusive to early childhood education and then specifically catered to them. And all of the materials, every corner or every nook in this ECE laboratory has been structured based on research, based on findings within the field of early childhood education. And it has very strong scientific rationale as to why these toys and these materials and these corners are important. We are also very proud at the College of Education that we have launched the Masters of Education in Early Childhood Education. This is the very first program in the United Arab Emirates that is specifically catered to early childhood education, and it is going to be launched next semester, and applications are already open. So anyone who's interested to join the master's program in early childhood education, they are more than welcome to submit their applications. And finally, we also have an integrative curriculum. Just like we talked about the whole child approach, in our integrative curriculum, we also think about all aspects of development. We teach our students, a course, for example, called Children's Play. We have a course about children's theater and drama. There are courses that specifically cater to how to teach children STEM subjects. So there are so many aspects of a child development that we have taken into consideration when planning our curriculum. And by this, I have come to the end of my presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Muna, for this informative and rich presentation, which focused on the whole child approach, which addresses various elements that have direct impact on preparation of the child education process for the future, which should promote the physical, social, intellectual, creative, psychological, and emotional capacity in early childhood learning years. It came to my mind now, you talked about emotional social intelligence, and I recalled the multiple intelligence theory of Howard Gardner from Harvard University, and said that we as human beings, we have different kinds of eight intelligence, which is logical, mathematical, linguistic intelligence, spatial, musical, bodily kinesthetic, interpersonal, intrapersonal, and naturalistic intelligence. For that, I think the whole approach for addressing the child cognitive ability and also all his needs appear very well in your approach at your university, and thank you for this added value presentation. Now we go to our second session, is about child safety and care, UAE, a model to follow, by Dr. Fatma Ali Al-Marzouki from Social Care Child Center. And the platform is yours, Dr. Fatma.
Hi everybody, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. Thank you, good evening for all, and thank you, Dr. Jamila, for your introduction. Thank you, Dr. Muna, for your information in your presentation. It was really very good information you provide us. Today, I will talk about child safety model to follow about Sharjah Social Service Department, what we are doing in Sharjah Social Service Department to protect the children and to provide service for the children in our city. I think the presentation is going on.
Yeah, it's okay. It's fine. We can see it. Just proceed. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, just I want to check what happened. Okay. Is it still in share or?
And no, it's not there anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, now it's
Now?
there. Now it's there, yes.
Okay, sorry for that.
It's okay.
Okay. Introduction. Since the establishment of the United Arab Emirates has been acquired to give the care of children, it was provided the children rights, including education and the health. The UAE has signed a children rights agreement issued by United Nations. Following that, UAE is have legacy to serve the children and protect their rights. We are in Social Service Department, is a local government institution filled with the Emirates of Sharjah and was established in August 1984. But the date we are emergence with the modern organization. It's a kind of November 1995 when a royal decree number 9 of 1995. According to that, Social Service Department become a local department in social in Sharjah government. The department is considered establishing the social care homes, providing home care services, protecting and providing social support, what the child needs, preparing also social studies and research. We are work to provide the development of Sharjah services occurs with the best practices in the field of security, care, and protection. In addition, we are related individual and families and the group with a special social conditions to enable them to adapt their problem, benefit for resource and their environment. We also work on studying in social problems to find solution and support to make and to support the decision-making process here in our Emirate of Sharjah. If we say there's children rights, we can talk about right of pedigree and proof papers. We are also taking care for right to education and bringing up right to health treatment, living in suitable housing. The right to protection from the abuse, the right to see parents conjugally. We are talking now about what we have provided by department in children protection. There is a direct conventional line to help children operate 24 hours a day. It's a free number, 800 700. It's work 7 days, 24 hours. We have operator, they responding all the calls from the children. And we have also the Family Forum Center, which is specialized in enabling children to see separated parents in the safe environment. Also, we have the social care home for children, provide children with a safe home and protect them from homeless. We have another center also. It's a Manor Affairs Service Center, also taking care for everything. We have a lot of flowers there. They can provide the papers, everything for abused children. The Women Protection Center, it's based protecting and securing the rights for women, but it's also the women, they are mothers of the children. The women who have abused, they are mother for the children. They can come with their mothers to this shelter. The child community contact number, it's a contact line established in 2007. In 2007, as a child helpline, it was the first specialized free child helpline in the United Arab Emirates. In the same year, its active membership in CHI, it's an international child helpline organization. Moreover, specialized work teams work in the helpline to deal with the report and abuse against the children. Risk or problems they may expand with their physical or sexual, emotional, financial, or commercial, and neglect also children. We also the services, it's immediate intervention. The child helpline provide immediate, urgently, and directly rescue to children who may exposed to danger, violence, or abuse. It's already exported it. And also child support assist service. It have three specialized clinic. We have psychiatric clinic, we have social clinic, we have legal clinic. They all have specialized people. They have special degrees in psychology and special degree in the law and special degree in social work. They are dealing with the people and giving the treatment for the abused children. Everything is this is service. It's under Executive Administration of Social Care and Protection Department. It's include minor affairs departments and the standing committee for care children, and we have family also forum center. We have shelter services. We have 2 shelter services, and we have home care services also. About danger and abuse, we can say there is a lot of danger and abuse, neglect, physical abuse, psychological abuse, sexual abuse, and also bullying. It's a kind of abuse. We are all dealing with all these kind of abuse in our services. Elements of safe environment for children, monitoring, support, service, self-building, sharing, practices, legislation, and commitment. These all, it's elements of the safe environment for children in our organization. Child protection partners, we have partners, it's work with us, Ministry of Justice, Ministry of Health, Social Service Department, which is children protection units, which we are working and inside, the Ministry Community Development, Ministry of Interior, and Public Protection. Child protection levels, we have the child, he lives in the family, care providers, and also local community and the states. This is 8 it's like to say how is because I cannot say the model. The model, this is egg model for child protection. We can say this is danger abuse. There is after that response action. After that, preventive measures and building a protection environment. Okay. The efforts of Social Service Department developing the child protection policies. We have the extras of the field of child protection in the department, work and development work models related to child protection process. Consented several specialized studies in the field of children, child protection and ensuring their rights. The most prominent of these during the provide 3 years from 2018 until 2021 were the following: development of children protection models, research and studies, training to raise the of protection specialized. We are making training program for them to know how to deal with the children who has abused. I think this is will be the last slide, and I hope that it was clear for everybody.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Fatima, for your
Thank you, dear. Thank you.
On child safety practices. I enjoyed it very much. And as we all know, there's a general consent among scientists, researchers, and academia that early childhood stage is the most critical time for positive intervention. Children's development during this stage is strongly affected by their environment, and that effect continues to exert a strong influence on the rest of their lives. We know that we have federal law, Wadima law, in United Arab Emirates that protect child from against all kind of abuse or misuse of any kind of like technology or misbehaviors. I would like to express my sincere thanks and appreciation to our honored guests for this rich, valuable contribution to tonight's session. And now we came to the end of today's session. Looking forward to meeting you soon in another virtual meeting at the Khalifa Educational Award platform. And I would like to tell the participant that this session is on the YouTube. It is there recorded. Now it's live, but it will be there because some of the guests ask about that. You can you can see it again, inshallah. Thanks again and good night to everybody. And we enjoyed it very much and looking forward to meeting you again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jamila. Thank you so much for
hosting us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Fatima.
Thank you, Doctor.
Yes, فرصة طيبة. Thank you. Sorry for the participant, we don't take questions here, but maybe later on the organizers, they can contact you regarding your questions or query. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.